What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Wave 20 figures. So first up here we have two Cobra characters of Xandar. Of course that goes with our Dreadnoks and family members of Zartan and Zarana, so cool to have him. As well as a S.A.W Viper, which looks pretty cool, so another Cobra Trooper to add to our collection. And then behind those we have our two G.I. Joes of Leatherneck and Dow Tone. So Leatherneck is just a Marine, so it has sort of that Marine look to him, which looks nice. And then Dow Tone, which is a communications expert, so he'll come with some cool gadgets in technology and like phone communication and everything. And then we're going to throw in here as well our deluxe figure of Heavy Duty, so he looks pretty cool. Nice design for him, and comes with this big massive gun. Of course we can spin around and you can see what it's going to look like, so that big gun hanging on him there. So we have him to look at as well with this wave. So I'm excited to check all these figures out, so let me get them open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So let's start off with Xandar, who is the younger brother of Zartan and the twin brother of Zarana. He's the master of camouflage and covert movement as an infiltrator and assassin, master of silent weapons, and uses disguises just like his siblings. So it looks pretty cool off of Xandar. Of course, to me, looks like probably the coolest member of the family here. Looks pretty nice with, of course, his longer red hair. Looks maybe, I was going to say maybe more stylish. It does look a little bit shorter on top, but longer there in the back and stuff, but looks good overall. Love like the markings on his face. Don't know if they're tattoos or just like face paint or what the deal is there, but it does look good, whatever's going on there. Has some earrings and everything, the headband going around there, so that looks nice. Has some bean color material here around his neck as well, almost like a scarf design. Then he's shirtless except for the armor he's got, so he's got a chest plate on here, looks like spot to hold guns. Nice armor there up on his shoulder, like pauldron pieces with little gold skulls. That looks cool. Some tattoos here on his right forearm there, says Dreadnought, so he's part of the Dreadnoughts, of course, with his family. Then we get some gray pants of some sort, belt with gold design, gold chains, all that going around there, thigh holster there, and then some boots there on his feet with some gold as well. Just looks really nice overall for this design of Xandar. But for movements, his head will twist around. Of course, got to worry about his hair and the scarf and all that mess around. So twist around there, can look down that far if you get it down under the scarf, and up that far, so just a little bit back and forth. Shoulders will come up. Now, of course, with these shoulder pieces, it doesn't allow them to go up very far, so just about there. But it does have the butterfly joint and rotate around. Get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends all the way up on itself there. Wrist will twist all the way around and flex as a hinge up and down hand. Get the ab crunch, you can see it cut out there, so crunch back and forth a little, and then at the waist crunch and twist all the way around. Then the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side. Of course, those drop down hips you can push back up. Thigh twist around, the double knee joint. Feels pretty stiff on him. Yeah, it was pretty stiff, but can bend up that far to the back. Not far at all from kicking his butt. And then we get the shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. It's not bad overall for the movements. Of course, it's the G.I. Joe, so they don't have the best range of movements, and especially like him with armor and stuff, and then it had stiffness in the knee there and everything. So not the best movements overall, but not bad at all for him. But to his accessories, first we get a backpack we can put on his back. Of course, the design matches with his armor and all that. Has some additional pieces. I assume they're like arrows and stuff. We don't really see much and they don't come out, but I assume some sort of arrow design down in there that we can plug this into his back. So plugs in his back just like that, so that works out nice. Then we get some different weapons to give him, so we give it a knife, so a nice like thin knife here that looks pretty nice. I assume we can stick this in the back here, so just on the back of the belt, so store that in the back there. He also comes with like this knife or whatever this is, not really sure, but it looks pretty cool. It's almost like a hatchet mixture with a knife, whatever sort of design. Don't think there's anywhere to store that. You could maybe store it there, but I think he's got a pistol that can go in there, so maybe just have to put this into his hand. No, actually, that does go in there, so we got a nice storage place there for that, so that's nice. So again, nice that he can hold all of his weapons here. Speaking of pistol, he also comes with a pistol, so that's nice design. Of course, I'm going to put this here on his chest. So just got to undo that strap there and slide the pistol down in on his chest to store that away there. And then finally, he comes with his main weapon, which is a harpoon gun. So pretty nice design. Get a nice big scope on it there. Nice all black that design with the big harpoon bolt there on the end of it. So that looks pretty cool. So let's put this into his hand. So there's Xandar holding the harpoon gun now as well. So that looks really cool overall for him. And of course, with Xandar being a family member of Zartan and Zarana, he's a member of the Dreadnoks, as I said. So we can add him in with the rest of our Dreadnoks. So there's Xandar added in with the rest of our Dreadnoks, of course, Zartan, Zarana, Torch, Nagahide, Road Pig, I think is remember his name, Ripper, and Buzzer. So it's always nice to add more members of the Dreadnoks to our team, and looks good overall with adding Xandar to it. And next up, we have the S.A.W Vipers, which the S.A.W stands for semi-automatic weapons, which are the Cobra's heavy machine gunners. They are equipped with a gyro-stabilized, cryogenically cooled mini chain gun, scoped with infrared night vision, with auto-ranging optical sight systems, meaning they are highly accurate machine guns that don't burn out. So he looks really cool, and nice design, of course, with the outfit design stuff. Looks like a bomb squad, so kind of like the characters we've had from Joe in the past with the bomb squad, but of course has the Cobra logo there. Love the colors, like the maroon, so like the dark purple and maroon colors, or whatever colors you want to call it, but it looks like maroon to me. Love that he's got the face covering with the all black design there. It looks pretty nice. Even has like a little earpiece coming over to his mouth, so like a little microphone there, so that all looks good. And then of course we get the armor down the side, so of course his chest plate there, like I said, the bomb armor, get the armor all down his arms, and even more armor going down, so we get more of the maroon color at like his waist piece here, has the holster on the side and stuff, storage places, more thick armor with the darker purple going down his legs as well, with the maroon underneath it, all the way down to the black boots. So just looks really cool. Nice all armored up guy here. Looks really nice. Now, moonwise, the head will twist around, so twist all around. Of course, this piece can easily come off if you want to get better access. Twist all the way around there, look down that far, look up that far. So again, not the best movements, kind of typical there. Shoulders will come up. Now, his armor gets out of the way, so it comes all the way up to 90 with the butterfly and rotates around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint. Of course, with all the armor, kind of gets in the way, so you can bend it up at least that far. Wrist will twist all the way around. It has the hinge up and down with his hand. Then we get his ab crunch, so I know he has the ab crunch in there, so he crunches a little back and forth, and then of course at the waist crunches and twists. Get the hips that come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist going on. The double knee joint, again real stiff on him. Can bend up that far to the back, all the way down to the foot. That'll rock back and forth and twist side to side. So good movements overall once again, even though he has all the armor. Of course, armor does get in some of the way, like showed you there at the elbow and everything, but not bad overall. Looks good. But accessory-wise, he does come with a helmet piece we can put on that makes him look more like the original toy design. So just this nice rubbery helmet slides on over the other one. But nice yellow visor design there, thin visor, which is cool. So we just slide this on over the helmet there, or head covering there. So now it looks like that. Again, much more like the original S.A.W Viper. You can still see his mouth sticking out there, which I do kind of like that design. So pretty nice for that. He also comes with a backpack. So we get a nice backpack in the maroonish color that matches with him. So pretty nice. Has a peg on the back. I'm not sure what it works for exactly though, but it does have the peg. You can store something else on it, but this goes on his back just like that. Then he comes with the additional weapon. So first we get like a knife, so a nice little all black knife. I think there was the spot on the back of his belt. Yeah, we can slide this into, just store that away there on his back. He also comes with a pistol, so all black pistol with extended mag, and it looks like a silencer or something there on the front. You can slide this into the slot here on the right side of his belt, so just slide that down there for storage. And of course, give him his main weapon of the semi-automatic rifle that I talked about. So nice big like chain gun here, looks pretty cool. It even has a saw on the bottom of it, which is pretty nice. You can take that off and use that as a separate weapon, but nice big gun design here. So let's try and put this into his hand. So as usual, it's hard to get the weapons into his hands, so that's probably about the best I can get it to look somewhat natural there. And then we do also get an ammo belt we can feed into it. So I know there's a slot on this side. I don't know if it really matters which side it goes in, but there's a spot on this side we can just sort of stick this in, so it kind of sticks there. And then I do believe it can go around and feed into the bottom of the backpack. Yeah, so maybe I have to go to the other side to probably make a little more sense, but feed into the bottom part of the backpack here. So you just slide this in there, and then maybe into the gun. Maybe there's a spot on this side. Yeah, the only place I see is on this side, and I feel it's kind of a weird spot to reach around. If that even is where that goes, I'm not exactly sure where it feeds into, but you can kind of do something like that. Of course, that would not be how you'd want to use that at all, but that looks pretty cool overall for that design for the S.A.W Viper. And next up, we have Leatherneck, whose real name is Wendell Metzger. He was a Marine and gunnery sergeant. He serves as a drill instructor with a reputation for toughness. He is ill-tempered, obnoxious, and holds grudges against those he doesn't deem worthy. So he looks cool here. Of course, though, he is more of like your basic G.I. Joe type of guy. You know, just looks like a basic army man. Nothing real fancy to it or anything, but looks good with the face design. The face overall looks good. Love his mustache. His hair is like still combed over there, so a little bit longer on top and combed over. It's still some like balding design. Then we get his outfit, so mostly like green camo, so green camo shirt and pants there with sleeves rolled up. Love the designs on the arm. Don't really know what they stand for or anything like that, but just look good with the vest on over the top. Some grenades, spot the hold his weapon and stuff, so just a nice vest with the tan and darker green designs. Belt around the waist with a pocket on one side, and looks like maybe walkie-talkie or some sort of communication thing coming over into the side there with some tubes. As I mentioned, those camo pants look pretty nice. Knee pads all the way down to the black boots there on his feet, and he even has like a watch on one hand and this like little wristband design on the other, so looks pretty good overall for Leatherneck. Now, movement-wise should be the same as all the others, so head will twist around, so twist all the way around. Of course, you can see his lower neck sort of twisting there, so that's all sort of twisted around, but can look down that far and up that far, so pretty decent movements back and forth. Shoulders come up to 90 with the butterfly back and forth and rotate around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far, real stiff, but can bend all the way up on itself there. Of course, get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex back and forth, so hinge up and down. Then we get the ab crunches, of course, hidden away in there, so not really getting much of anything, so just a little crunch back and forth, maybe at the waist, and we'll twist around there as well. Hips up to 90 and out to the side, of course, those drop down hips. Thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that will bend up, of course, real stiff. There we go, finally got it. So almost kicking himself in the butt there, and down to his foot that will rock back and forth and twist side to side. And I think it, also twist around in there as well. So pretty decent movements overall. A little stiff as usual, kind of typical with these. So nothing surprising there at all, but not too bad overall for Leatherneck. Now he does come with a number of accessories. So we do get a hat we can put on. So it looks like more I always consider like the marine type hat or whatever. So the flatter hat there, we can put that onto his head. Of course, get it to sit on his best as we can, with some glasses that'll go on his face as well. Of course, as usual, it'd be nice if they just gave us a head that had the glasses on, so we don't have to worry about them falling off or anything, but have those on there. So it looks pretty decent, like not bad at all with those glasses sitting on his face. He comes with some additional hands, so if we don't want to give him, of course, we want to give him guns and stuff, but get some fist hands so he can maybe fist fight if we need to. And then also a backpack with a nice green bedroll and stuff on it there, so it looks nice. We can plug this in his back. So we got that on his back now, and we get some weapons, of course. So first we get a knife, so we can take a knife and store it on his chest, so it has a spot there. So we can just store this right on his chest, so slide that up in there. Of course, get the pistol as well that we can store in his spot. Of course, knocked him down, but get the pistol we can store here on his right leg. So just like that, store that there. And finally, he comes with a rifle. So this big rifle looks like we have maybe a grenade launcher on the bottom. Of course, the magazine that will come out has a stock on it as well and everything. So just looks like a basic rifle design. We can put this into his hand. So just got the gun in his hand like that, of course, with the bigger, but I didn't want to fight with dealing that with putting it in there. But overall looks pretty good, like that gun that goes along with him and stuff. And overall looks good for Leatherneck, like I said, just because he looks more basic Army Man-ish. Not as exciting as some of the other characters, but he does look really good at least. And our final main character of the wave is Dow Tone, whose name is Jack Morelli. He was an electronics and communication expert who built his own crystal radio when he was 10 years old and had his own ham radio station by the time he was 16. And he would later join the army to further his education and communications. So it looks good overall for Dow Tone. Of course, this was the figure that took us forever to get this wave done. We've had all the other figures for like months now, and it's just taken forever to get Dow Tone, and thankfully he finally came in. Looks good overall, so like his design, so his face there, nice little mustache design. Love how he's got an earpiece in and the design there going around his neck, so some sort of band there with his hair nice little poofed up there in the front. I like his outfit design, so he has like this tan shirt that goes all the way down with this green color vest, almost getting into like a teal color with the straps on over the top of that, has like grenades and stuff on it there. Little holder here on the front of his belt and pockets that go all the way around. Then we get black pants on him, have nice texture, a little walkie-talkie build into the side, some devices there around his wrist as well, some of the green color knee pads and boots there on his feet with a little slot at the bottom as well. So looks pretty decent overall look-wise. Makes him look a little different for Dow Tone. Now for movements, the head will twist all the way around. You can look down that far and up the far, again, not the best movements. Shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends all the way up on itself there. Get the wrist that'll twist around and should have the hinge, but of course deep inside there, so not gonna get really any movements. We get the ab crunch, so again, not much, but you can see the crunch there, and he will crunch back and forth, and of course at the waist crunch and twist around. Hips that come up to 90 and out to the side, drop down hips, thigh twist, and the double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, and almost kicking himself in the butt. We get the shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So good movements overall, probably the best out of the wave so far today. Now to accessories, he does come with a beret we can put on, so nice beret design there. It has a little logo design on the front, so we can add that beret to him. Of course, I think with that beret, it almost makes him look French with the beret and little mustache and everything. He also comes with a knife, so nice survival knife there we can stick down into the sheath here. So stick that down in. Then we start to get some communication device. So first we get his backpack, which is a pretty cool piece. Not really sure what's all going on, but just a communications backpack. So it looks pretty nice with weird shape design. It does open here at the back, so it has a little computer built in there. Of course, this like microphone piece that'll come down around him. So just overall pretty weird design, but cool at the same time that we can plug into his back. So that's pretty nice. And of course, then like I said, the piece here can fold down in front of his mouth and stuff there for communication. So that's pretty cool. He also comes with a little cell phone or cellular device, whatever you want to call it there. Now I think this will store in the pocket or whatever this thing is here right in the front. So you can store that right in there. So we can hold that. Then he comes with some cool weapons. So first we get this like little microphone or bionic ear so he can listen in and stuff. So we can just maybe put this into one of his hands. So there you can hold on to the bionic ear there. And then he also comes with a rifle, so we get the magazine. Of course, that comes out of it as usual. Of course, the stock and all that. And a slot to hold that cell phone device as well. So we can take that out and slide it into the top of the gun here. So it adds some design there. I'm not really sure what function that would serve there, but you can add that in and then, of course, put this into his hand. So that's pretty cool there. You can kind of hold it like that. So you can use that device along with his gun there. So overall, it looks pretty cool. Like I said, don't really know what all the stuff is function-wise because I don't really know much about communications devices and all that besides just cell phones. But it looks pretty cool. I have him all kitted out there with all his different weapons and accessories and everything. That nice big backpack with the piece coming in front of him. So it just looks really cool. And overall, another nice figure with Dow Tone. And our final figure is the deluxe heavy duty, whose real name is Lamont Morse. He was a heavy ordnance trooper that was licensed to operate the mobile battle bunker Hammer General, and he's a classical guitarist in his spare time, which helps him operate his man portable heavy weapon system as they require left and right hand independence, great hand-eye coordination, and the ability to concentrate on 2 or more operations at once. So he looks really cool here. Nice design for heavy duty. Looks pretty good. Love that he's got the hat on. Love like that because of the bright green color. Why it stands out. That's a shred head there on the back, so probably for playing the guitar and stuff. So we get that. That's permanently stuck on his head, which is nice, so we don't have to worry about falling off or anything. But because of that, we do get an additional head as well. Nice face design there with the goatee. Has some earrings in and all that. Has the Chicago Bulls logo on his neck, so from being from Chicago, fan of the Chicago Bulls. Then he's got a shirt on, which I love how it's got the cut off sleeves. Look pretty nice, or ripped off sleeves with just like that tannish color. Of course, his sleeves there. He's got watches on his arms and everything. Belt around the waist, so 2 belts actually, belt for the pants and then additional belt holding weapons and a little holster there. And then love this design of like camo or whatever it is on his pants with like the camo colors and everything, but the little triangle designs looks really cool. Love that. All the way down to the boots there on his feet with some green on the brown. Looks really nice. So overall, pretty nice design for heavy duty. Now, movement-wise, his head will twist all the way around. Can look down that far and up that far, so again, not a whole lot of range, unfortunately. And then the shoulder will come up to 90 with the butterfly back and forth. Rotate all the way around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint. That, of course, real stiff, so it bends up that far on itself. Get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and hinge up and down there. We get the ab crunch, so it can crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. And then at the waist, crunch a little and twist all the way around. Hips will come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, almost kicking himself in the butt. Shin twist there at the top of the boot, and the foot flex back and forth and twist side to side. It's not bad at all. Pretty good moves for him, of course, without all the armor and everything on him. Moves pretty good there as well. And then we get a bunch of accessories for him since he is a deluxe, of course, comes with the big weapon. But first, we do get an extra head. So we get this head here. So we get a flat top haircut with the nice like cuts in the side and stuff. That's cool. We can try and switch out. Let's see if I can get this out. So there we can switch that head out, so we can have that head on if we want instead of the hat. I like the hat just because it had the colors. Not sure if it matters which one, but we also get some pieces we can put on. So we have like headphones here. I don't know if they'll fit on with his flat tops. Yeah, I think they do. So you can put that on him there, or we get this headphone piece that has a little piece that comes around to his eye, so you can kind of put it around his head. So there it kind of sits on it there. Not the best, obviously, but you can put that on there, so it puts that little visor piece in front of his eye. So that's pretty cool. He comes with some additional hands as well. So fist hands, of course, don't really need those with operating the guns, but then comes with some knives as well. So we get 2 knives we can store them. So there's definitely the spot down here at his ankle, so we can slide that in. Then I think there is one also on his belt here off to the side we can store a knife in. So both those will store there on him on the left side. He also comes with an extra piece we can put around him. So I guess if you just want to easily slide this up and over him, you can put that on him. So he has a sash like that. So if you want to leave that on, but of course leave it off so we don't have issues with his weapon. And speaking of weapon, we get his heavy weapon system that'll hold a bunch of different guns. So we get this big piece, like harness piece we can put on him. So of course you got to get it around him. Has the peg that go into his back. So maybe we can slide it to him on it like this. So his legs down through there, peg this in his back. So there it's pegged in, and then slide this piece down over him. Got to get over his head. Knock that visor piece off. So it's down over his head like that. And then we'll get pieces that connect it here in the front. So we get this piece that's got almost like an ammo design into it and stuff, so it'll connect with the top and bottom. So you got to connect the top part onto these pieces. So there's these little hinge pieces, you got to pop those on there. So those will connect there. And then there's this clip piece on the back that'll clip onto the front of this. So it connects it all together onto him. So there he's got the big machine on him. So we got that, and we can take his hands and put him on the little triggers and stuff here. Okay, so not easy at all to get his hands on the thing there. And thankfully they do hinge back and forth, but it's still really hard. You got to get his arms bent pretty well to get him on there. So there he's got that. And then we can add some different guns to it. So first we get some like little mini guns or whatever. These like little Gatling style guns here that we can mount up on the top on the sides here. So there's those mini guns attached there, and then we get another ammo belt like we had with the S.A.W Viper sort of design. So this, we have a spot on the back here that we can take and slide this, like feed it all the way through. It's just completely empty there all the way through, so do that. And then we can take each of the ends and plug them into the bottom of the gun, so they have slots opening to store for feeding ammo in. So just stick that in there, and again, do the same with each side, so feed that in. So just like that, so there we can feed the ammo into the mini guns there, so that's cool. Then we get some additional cannon pieces here. So we get these two cannons, not really sure, maybe laser cannons, because I see that's a part of it. So these sort of designs here that I believe sit on top of these. So it's got to get it under his arm there. So those attach on there. And again, pretty difficult with his arms there and trying to get it around on there. So maybe not want to put his hands on there yet. And then it also comes with two quad burst missile launchers. So these, we have these missile launchers, of course, has the handles, so you could use them separately, but big missile launchers that look pretty cool. So there you got the quad burst and the spots where they shoot out. Now these will attach on the side as well. So those will attach on the side. Not easy to get on, very hard to pop on there. So we get those, and to go along with effects for those, we do get a bunch of these little flame effects, so one for each hole. So let me go and fill them all in. So you can put all those flame effects in there, and to go on each of those flame effects, we do get little missiles as well that we can pop onto them. So we can put these on each one of them. So there are all those rockets now shooting out of the rocket launcher there. So there's heavy duty all filled up now. So that looks really cool. Of course, all those big guns shooting off him. Looks like it'd take a lot of weight and everything, but looks really cool there. And he's actually standing, no real issues with that and everything. So he's got a nice white base and all that. So that works out pretty good. So really nice. He can handle all that weaponry with this big gun. So that just looks ridiculously cool. Such an awesome figure and design with the big gun. Well, there we have our G.I. Joe Classified Series Wave 20 figures, where we got Xandar, the S.A.W Viper, Leatherneck, Dow Tone, and threw in our deluxe heavy duty. All four of these are really cool. Like I said, the one that's only like the disappointing one to me is Leatherneck, just because he looks like the basic army man. Dow Tone's pretty close, but he comes with the cool accessories like that backpack and stuff, so it makes him stand out a little. Xandar's really cool, adding more to the Dreadnoks, and of course our Zartan and Zorana's sibling, as well as the S.A.W Viper looks cool with that design and the cool gun, and of course his heavy duty looks amazing with that big gun he's got and everything, so just amazing for him as well. So let me know what you thought of these 5 figures down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like and hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.